I recently moved into a small apartment, and I wanted to keep my Lulzbot 3D printer with me. However, I didn't want the smell of fumes from entering my room, and I wanted to give the 3D printer a little bit of extra protection. I decided to build a box around it and disguise it as a piece of furniture. I began this project by developing a 3D model of how I wanted the nightstand to look. I had to take into account the dimensions of the Lulzbot to do this. I wanted the nightstand to be as compact as possible, so not to take extra space in my room. Then I went to Home Depot and purchased several 2-foot by 4-foot sheets of birch plywood. This isn't the cheapest wood around, but it made for a nice nightstand. To cut the outer wood sheets, I used a jigsaw. A buzzsaw would have been better, but I didn't have one available. A Dremel was used to cut the intersections that the jigsaw couldn't reach. Once again, not the best tool for the job, and this step was pretty manually intensive. However, the end result was pretty nice. I was careful to make sure that this intersection measured roughly 12 inches by 12 inches, so that a sheet of plexiglass could be mounted to it without having to make any cuts on the plexiglass. I then glued the pieces of the box together using Gorilla wood glue. Since the jigsaw didn't originally cut the wooden edges very precisely, I had to do a fair amount of dremeling to sand to shape. Once I had all the edges sanded nice and smooth, I was able to move on to the next step, which was to paint all the wooden surfaces. This paint had primer built into it, so I was able to apply the paint directly to the wood. The paint went on kind of blue when I first applied it, but after it oxidized, it came out nice and black, which is exactly what I wanted. Here you can see my favorite part of this entire build. The granite simulated vinyl wrap that goes on top of the nightstand sets against the black paint in a really cool contrast that makes this piece look remarkable in my opinion. You can get this stuff on Amazon for like $12, and from a few feet away it looks like real granite. You literally can't tell the difference. To keep the front door sealed, and to give the door some cushioning when opening and closing, I found some 1 centimeter wide sponge seal tape on Amazon for a really cheap price. I then applied this tape to the edges of the brim to give the nightstand a professional, finished appearance. I wanted to be able to see the Lulzbot as it was printing, so I decided to add lights to the interior of the nightstand. I ordered some cheap LED strip lights from Amazon and cut them and soldered them to make them fit in the arrangement that I wanted. Another added benefit of these lights is it makes it easier to see what you're doing when you're loading and unloading prints into the Lulzbot. Installing these lights was a pretty straightforward process since there was self-sticking adhesive on the back of the LEDs. Next, I installed a 12-inch by 12-inch plexiglass sheet. The advantage of this plexiglass sheet is that it keeps the entire nightstand completely sealed, but yet you can still see what's going on inside. This has the advantage of keeping heat inside the nightstand, which helps the Lulzbot print better. The other advantage of it being completely sealed is sound dampening, and this is very noticeable when the door is open versus closed and the Lulzbot is printing. At this point, there were just a few finishing touches that needed to be done, such as getting the hinges on the door frame and getting that set up, and also mounting the handle. Overall, this nightstand turned out really cool. The 3D printer is still completely functional, but it blends well into my room. It's stealthy, almost like something out of a James Bond film. If you're thinking about doing a similar project yourself, I would definitely encourage you to do so, as this was a lot of fun. Also, if you enjoyed this video, or if you're a radio-controlled enthusiast or a 3D printing enthusiast, please do consider subscribing to my channel to see similar content going forward.